Welcome to Exposing the Hidden Reality. I'm Annette, career reinvention coach and caffeine-powered human.
And I'm Sandra, women's life and leadership coach. I bring the woo to our conversations.
And this is the podcast where we call out all the unspoken stuff, biases, outdated expectations, and all the things women navigate in work and in life.
Yes. We bring to light what we see happening. Smart, capable women stuck in the same patterns because no one really talks about what's going on.
We'll bring some difficult truths.
Welcome, insightful experts.
And sprinkle in a little chaos and fun.
It wouldn't be us if we didn't, right?
It's true.
So whether you're walking the dog or tuning in during your commute, we're glad you're here. Let's do this.
Let's do this. You want to do the let's do this together? Like 3, 2, 1, let's do this. All right, 3, 2, 1. Let's do this. Oh, welcome everybody. We are so excited to talk with Melissa today. Melissa, the floor is yours. Please introduce yourself to the audience.
Yes, and I love your intro. It's so playful
thanks.
and real. Yes. I'm Melissa Bauknight, and I'm the founder of the Nova Global, which is a soulfully rebellious collective for women and non-binary people, which it stands for everything that you talked about and everything that you stand for, where we really give professional, ambitious women and non-binary people a platform, a community to come as your whole self, where we stop pretending that there's only one metric of success. So we're really redefining the rules of success, of community, and showing each other how to show up as our whole full selves inside of our work, but also in our whole lives. So that's the work that I'm doing in the world today. And it's been a very interesting journey because there's no playbook for creating something like this. So it's quite the journey.
What got you here to feel like you needed to create this place for people to gather?
Because I needed it just as much as anybody else. I've been on a journey of really embodying what we stand for at the Nova. I had a great corporate career for 15 years, and I don't have a classic tale of I hated it, I burned out, I didn't like it. I actually really loved it. There were certainly things that were missing, but what had me leave corporate was more of an inside job, an inside journey of doing some soul excavation and starting to recognize where I was feeling tremendous amounts of imposter syndrome, no matter how much success that I had achieved at corporate. Like I was number 2 in my company, feeling like, oh my gosh, if my manager rides with me, she's going to know I have no idea what I'm doing, which was of course not true. Right. But that's how it occurred for me. I had social anxiety. I was scared to speak in front of people. You know, there were things that were going on that I didn't have words for. I didn't really fully understand. But once I started to do personal growth and development, I started to have words for them. I started to have an understanding of them, and I started to become really empowered around them. And what was actually happening that took me a long time to really fully understand was that I was becoming what was happening was I was starting to feel safe being seen in the parts of myself that I had developed a lot of shame around as a child of like, well, if they see this messy side of me or the side of me that screws up or the side of me that isn't what I think that they want to see, then I'm going to get in trouble. I mean, it's such childhood. I don't mean to minimize it, but we'll call it childhood trauma, childhood wounding, my inner child. But that I wanted to just be able to be me in all of my authenticity. I didn't know that. But that's what ended up allowing me to leave corporate was going into Beauty Counter, which was a direct sales organization. And those were the skills that I was developing through working with Beauty Counter, through developing some feminine leadership skills. I'll put in quotes like accidentally along the way, but also doing a lot of intentional work along the way that was cultivating this deep permission inside of myself to just show me, all of me to the world and really have a deep love for those parts of me. And what I've come to realize is that when we have places to practice being seen, being vulnerable, being whole, being messy, bringing our whole selves to the table, actually what we can create in the world through our work is like 100x as far as impact, as far as we'll even call it productivity, all the things that like the patriarchy and capitalism loves. What we're able to actually do when we feel like ourselves is so much more magnified. And so I didn't stumble upon this, but it was through my own journey that I realized, wow, we really need this in the world. We need more of these feminine spaces for women to be able to do work in their way, in a way that actually nurtures what works for us, not what works for the structures and systems that have been set up for us to fail.
Oh,
how's that?
I know you're speaking our language, Melissa.
I'm like, oh, it gets me so fired up, you know?
I know exactly.
Peter's gonna jump through the screen.
I know.
Yeah.
Wow. I just don't even know where to start because there's so much goodness here. Talk to me a little bit about direct sales and how that opened up for you an exploration.
I love direct sales, and I know so many people don't. So I love getting to talk about it in a different perspective. I worked with Beauty Counter, and Beauty Counter and they have a complicated story, but before they closed and reopened, Beauty Counter was a grassroots, what I would like to call a grassroots movement that really started a revolution around clean beauty. That wasn't a thing until Beauty Counter brought it to light. And so what was happening when Beauty Counter came to market was there is very little legislation around what is in our products in the United States. And so a lot of garbage, a lot of incredibly harmful ingredients are perfectly legal to put in the products that we put in and on our bodies every single day. It's incredibly harmful and totally legal. And so the founder, who is not somebody that you would expect, like you look at her and you're like, you don't even really wear makeup. This is so interesting. Like she was this very authentic, real leader that wanted to change an entire industry. So she started a movement, and I was there from the beginning. And so I was like 2 years into this when they started. So basically the beginning. And so I watched this movement of mostly women who were so inspired by a centralized mission, like actually changing the marketplace. And so the vehicle to which we did it through was direct sales. And it was so fun. Like so I learned how to actually rewrite some of the narrative that we're taught around, like keep work and your personal life separate.
Right.
When done with integrity, when done with class, I'm like, I only want to work with my friends now. I'm like, let's put that shit all in a blender and like mix it up. But like, I only want to work with people I know and trust that are my friends. But I needed to really untangle that. And I did that through network marketing. I learned about working with women and the sisterhood wound that we all have and just how scarred women are from each other, which was actually systematically done to us over time. And so there was a lot of healing that was done through working with women. I learned about like self-leadership, and I learned a lot of skills, and just like actually without having to earn a title to be able to be a manager, I could just claim leadership and start to create workshops and anything that I wanted. It was like entrepreneurship with training wheels. And I became so confident in my skills as an entrepreneur that I actually ended up becoming a founder because of it. But it was because I had this kind of risk-free playing ground that I could practice with. So there was just so much that I feel is good about that industry. And I know there's a lot of things that have happened in it, but there's also a lot of disgusting stuff that happens in traditional workplace environments too. So, it gets a bad rep, but you could say that about really any industry if you really look hard enough.
And sometimes not even have to look that hard enough.
Yeah, not anymore. It's really all right out there most of the time.
Yeah. I started my journey to entrepreneurship through direct sales as well. And I so identify with everything that you just spoken about in terms of, having to work through that negative viewpoint, to just being paid to do your own self-development.
Yeah. And also the resiliency.
Yes.
The resiliency. I mean, I was fortunate that I'd already had a sales background. So I was traditionally trained in sales, and I had B2B sales experience in corporate for 15 years. And so, but I was one of the few, most people coming into that, especially in beauty counter, there was so many women that were like, I've never done anything like this before. They were really scared and intimidated, but they were so driven by the mission that they were like, I'm willing to figure it out because I'm so inspired by what we're doing here. But I had a very traditional training, and I actually had to untrain myself in so many of the things that I'd been trained, because it was like, I really needed to, like, some of it came very natural to me, a more relational way of selling. That was why I think I was so successful in corporate. But I really learned how to lean into that, into a much more like softer, feminine sales modality than you're ever taught. They're like, get the sale, close at no cost. It's like, whatever we need is what's the most important. And I know they don't say that, but that's really what they mean. And so, so it was interesting to unlearn a lot of unhelpful sales tactics inside of that model.
Yeah. And I was growing up in corporate America in the late 90s. So when you said, leave your personal life at the door, or that was like something that was actually, and as a new manager, when I was promoted, I remember saying that to someone, and it's probably what I would now classify as the worst piece of advice I ever got in my career. And then the worst piece of advice I ever gave in my career. Because how can you separate who you are? How can you, when you walk into a building, you don't stop being a wife, a mother, all of these other roles that you hold on to, they don't stop for 8 hours a day.
No.
They just are part of who you are. So how can we embrace that and move forward?
Right. Well, then it just makes you hide more, right? And that's that's like what we're undoing at the Nova is, where are you hiding? Where are you masking? Where have you been taught that you cannot show these parts of yourself? That's why we stand for bringing your personal, professional, and spiritual self, regardless of what you believe in. We have people with all different religious affiliations, non-traditional religious affiliations. Some believe in nothing. It doesn't matter. Our stance is just that it gets to be a part of you. We're not like, oh, you have to set that outside the table because you can't talk about that as in a professional women's community. It's like, well, sure. Let's be open and curious with one another because we have different viewpoints, but how nice to be able to talk about different viewpoints in a safe space where you're not going to be judged for it. And you don't have to pretend that it's not there.
Yes.
Sandra, I feel like we need to hug each other.
Oh, this is the work that I do, Melissa, and I believe in it so very, very strongly. We carry everything that has happened in our lives into every interaction we have.
Yes.
And we never know how what's happening between you and me right now is related to things that have happened to me personally in the past. And how am I bringing that into this conversation with all its expectations, with all of its unspoken projections? Right? And how are you responding to that based on everything you're bringing? And sometimes it amazes me that we even get anything done.
Right. Yeah. There's this term that I remember learning about in my undergrad psychology class, and it's related to hearing. It's called conference. So it's this level of noise that's going on in the environment. But I think it's so much more than that, because the level of noise going on in your environment has a lot to do with what's going on in your head. So it's the conversations you're having with yourself, replaying the conversation like that Melissa and I had last week, and me rethinking it again. All of that stuff is going on. And if you don't have a place to process through it, in a safe place to process through that, then you just carry it with you. And can you imagine when that level of background noise in your brain gets so high, you're just frozen. There's nothing else you can do with yourself.
Yeah. Well, then you usually just get sick.
Yeah. Sick, burnt out. Yeah. Frozen, right? Or nothing.
Or that even happens within our own workplaces.
Yes.
Our workplaces get sick because they're not safe places.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So in the Nova, then what can people do? What can they work through? What process do you take them through to help them be their best authentic self?
So we're kind of a networking community.
I love that.
I don't mean to say that to like undermine it, but you know, it's not a traditional coach. It's not like we're a coaching container, but this work is generally mostly accessible in coaching containers. And so I got to experience in a lot of different ways inside of pretty expensive coaching containers. And I was like, well, that's not accessible for most people, but gosh, how valuable. And what if this existed at scale? What if this existed in every city? What if this existed all over the world? And what if we kind of combined it with a more traditional way of gathering that professional women do, where we're not necessarily taking them through like a deep trauma process, but we're actually cultivating more like real world environments where you're gathering. We do, growth oriented workshops. We do networking events. We do have like a 12-month embodied feminine leadership program that we have available. We have some retreats that we're starting to launch. But it's more of a safe place to practice in the real world where you're gathering with other really ambitious people. And we're learning along the way. We give our members opportunities to what we call like share their gifts. So we have Elevate Hour, which exists in every single chapter that we have. We'll have 8 chapters by the end of 2025, all of which, except for one, launched in 2025, which is pretty bananas. So once a month, somebody from that chapter, which we call Constellations, leads us through an experiential workshop that has to do with our theme of the month, which is all part of our core values. So our core values guide all of our content. So every quarter is a core value of the Nova. And then each month we have a theme that deepens into that core value. So we're inside of the core value quarter 3. So I'm not sure when this will come out, but in Q3, we're in sacred rebellion is one of our core values. And so this month it's all about owning our sacred power. And Q4 is about holistic excellence. It's Q4. And so we have one month is all about burnout. One is about leaving a legacy. And so there's a lot we can do with there's so much content and conversation you can do within those themes, but we really look to what are the things that heart-led, soul-led, driven, mission-driven, impact-driven women and non-binary people care about that we're navigating. What are the opportunities for expansion? What are the areas of blocks that we have? And how can we really deepen into those kinds of conversations? So that's how we intentionally curate our conversations. We've been calling it like Priya Parkering, right? The art of gathering, where we just bring an intentional conversation to spaces where you might normally be like, oh God, networking, I hate it. It drains me. If someone asks me what I do one more time and I have to have a surface level conversation, I'm going to gouge my eyes out. So we take like a traditional model that people kind of hate and we make it something that's so deeply nourishing that they leave feeling so filled up, so seen. So we have, community agreements and ways in which we gather very specifically that helps kind of rewire this inside of people's bodies. So then they go out in the world where this is not the way, and then they can start to be the possibility. They can be the embodied example of this in their communities. Mm-hmm. And then that's the ripple effect, right? Where we can be that person in our communities where that community doesn't probably even have somebody that shows up in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Mm-hmm. I do this in the form of women's circles.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
Same idea, right? Mm-hmm. Let's come together. Let's have rules about how we talk and how we share. And and open space for conversations that feel more authentic.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not even nice to have in
It's
my mind.
necessary.
Necessary. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's necessary.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah. So how can women support each other? I think this is part of the conversation that Sandra and I always like start to have, and then it seems like other pieces come in and we don't finish it. But a lot of times women feel threatened, kind of that old queen bee mentality, right? I'm at the top. There can only be one of me. I have to be the queen. The rest of you have to support me. And therefore there's no room for you. How can we start to break that down in our life and let more people in because we're all better together?
Yeah. Well, I really love more of a non-hierarchical leadership model.
Yeah.
Personally.
Mhm.
And there, that's not to say that there's like nobody in charge of a room, because then that's chaos.
Right.
But even though I'm the founder of my company, I don't believe that I am better than or that I know more than everybody in the community. So when I'm in community with our members, for example, I'm in a circle with them.
Mhm.
And I am sharing with them. When we have a presenter we had a presenter come in this week virtually, because we have a whole virtual programming as well that our whole community can plug into. And I'm participating in the chat. I'm like, this is what's messed up in my life today. This is where I feel blocked, and I'm like sharing vulnerably. So there's like the vulnerability and this idea that like so I think what I'm trying to say is that there's a modeling of the leader that I'm not necessarily like more important or better than you just because of my title. I think that is a capitalistic patriarchal way of belief. I also will tell you that the reason our community, like what we've been able to grow so quickly, the reason that has happened is because of the generosity, love, kindness, and support of other women. Not one woman I have come into contact with, which is like thousands at this point, has turned their back on me, said no to me, snubbed me, or not supported me. Every single one of them has been like, how can I support you? How can I open a door from you? Who do you need to know? How can I what can I do for you? And the impact that I'm able to have for all of these people is because of the generosity of these other women. And so if you think that we're in competition with each other, it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. And then I turn around and I'm like, okay, how can I help you? How can I help you? But I think part of it is learning the historical context of how it happened. I'm not an expert at that, but I have learned about how that happened to women. And I have learned about how they turned us against each other. And so I think there's when we can start to understand, like, how did this even happen? How do we start to really understand contextually, historically, like why we were pinned against each other? Because it helps other people in power when we're not on the same team. But when we're on the same team, nobody can stop us. So it's in our best interest to get on the same team, because there's truly nothing women cannot do when we are in alliance with one another. And I've watched it for the last decade when I was with Beauty Counter and beyond those walls. And I am watching it. I'm living it, and I am watching it inside of Nova. And it is blowing my mind what is possible when we decide to stop trying to like beat one another and we decide to open doors for one another. It's also so fun. It's so fun. I'm like, you get to win and you get to win and I get to win. Like, actually, no one has to lose. It's not a win-lose at all. You've been so misinformed.
So I know you have an 8-year-old because you told us when you came in.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm pretty sure you've seen A Bug's Life.
Oh, yes, but it's been a while, but
Okay.
let's see if I can pull it out of the archives.
Okay. So the scene that I always think about when someone talks about what you just spoke about is Hopper, right, saying to his brother, we have to go back because we have to teach those ants a lesson because they don't know that they're so powerful, right? Do you remember this scene? So the
Sort of.
grasshoppers have come. The food wasn't there. They've flown
Oh,
away.
yes.
They say they're going to come back. All the ants are like struggling to get the food ready for them, and in the meantime, they've gone someplace where there's like lots of food and they're really happy. And the brother says, "Why bother going back for those measly scraps? That we've got the good life here." And Hopper says we have to, because if one ant understands that together they're more powerful than us, we've lost.
Yes. It's so true. It's so true. I've had this vision. Well, actually, I was sharing at a retreat. We introduced the woman facilitating had us introduce ourselves instead of just, I don't know, a traditional introduction. She said, say, I am somebody who, and then tell whatever comes out of your mouth. And the woman reflected back to me. She's like, oh, you're like somebody that helps. You're like the Fireflies. And the Fireflies, there's so much pollution and there's so much, they're having a hard time finding each other. They're struggling. But if you can help the Fireflies, like when they turn on their light, you can help the Fireflies find each other. And so ever since then, I've just felt like that. It's like, you got to help the Fireflies find each other. It's like, you're a Firefly and you're a Firefly. It's like a nova. That's what a nova is. It's like that light, that inner light. We got to turn our lights on so then we can find the other Fireflies. But that's it. It's like, there's so many of us out there. I'm so full of hope in this like crazy world that everything that you look at makes you not that way. But most of my world are people like you. Most of my world are women that are doing amazing things in the world, that are like deeply committed to turning the ship around, that are turning their light on, that are helping us, that they're doing beautiful work. And so I'm like, well, as long as the Fireflies keep finding each other, we're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Beautiful to think about, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about the, I don't know, remember when you were a kid and they had the little hide it under a bushel song? I don't know. I'm old. Anyways, but that's what it is. Just because somebody put something over you or you get lost finding the other Fireflies, right? That doesn't mean you have to stop. You have to keep searching for these people that support you, support your vision of you. But it sometimes takes us a while to get here to know that we need that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always wondering how I can bring this idea to younger women, or in your case, younger women, non-binary people. How can we let them know that maybe what they're going through right now isn't ultimately where they'll end up, or it's okay to start that journey of self-exploration and figuring that out much sooner than waiting for something to go bad for you and then try and figure it out later?
Yeah, I think it's doing what we're doing. I don't know that it's more, I mean, I think you can create initiatives around it. I think you can create organizations around it. I think you can put your voice into spaces where there are younger people. I mean, I think there's very like targeted initiatives that we can do for that. And I think I think it's being that. I think it is as complicated and as simple as being that, as telling your truth, as sharing your story, as being that model in the world. We have no idea the ripple effect of our presence ever. Like we have no clue where that ends up. Right. not everyone is a parent of a human. I am raising a boy, and I am modeling this with him every single day. So that's one of the ways that I'm doing it. And whoever he ends up being with, and his, the community that I'm around, like that's who I'm being in my community. And so I think, that's my original brand. When I first started my own personal brand, was called Create Your Ripple. And that was the idea, was that literally our only job is to like be our authentic selves. And that was our ripple effect in the world. And so I think, but I do agree that it's incredibly important. And I don't know that younger generations are they're having struggles, but I think it's it's different because they're not in the same world. I'm 43. They're certainly not in the same world that I grew up in anymore. They don't have the same, they have social media struggles, and they have a lot of different kind of struggles, but I don't think that they're coming to the table with the same kinds of struggles. Like they're not like hiding like we were, So most of the people that, and I don't know if it's the same for you, but most of the people that we serve or that are like navigating these types of conversations are like 30 to plus.
Yeah.
Just call it plus.
Yes.
They're not 20s. They're mostly even like 35, 40. So I don't know. They're going to have their own bag of tricks to deal with. It's not funny.
I agree. No, it's not funny. It's we all grow up with our own set of things, right? I was raised where it was like kids are seen and not heard, right? Like that kind of thing.
Yes.
And now everybody gets seen, right? Everybody's on social media. We see everybody else's kids. I was listening to a book earlier today. It was just the wrap up of it, of a girl that was in Hollywood, and all of the rules that are in place for child actors, all of them, she still ended up with no money still. And so like, there's all these protections we have in place. And then she was talking about, well, what about all the kids that you consume on social media? I love watching this one little boy that loves music and loves to dance. And I'm like, how's that going to be for him when he becomes aware of what's happening? Will he have wanted his face out there? It seems pretty cool right now. And then I think, what am I doing to contribute to that? Because I'm consuming it. I watch, I comment, I like.
Yeah.
Am I helping or hurting the raising of that child? So there's just so many different implications that weren't a consideration 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Totally. Yeah.
So I have 3 kids, twins that are 19 and a daughter who's 16. And when they were of the age where it was a big thing to be, sharing YouTube channels and stuff like that, they kept saying, I want my own YouTube channel, Mom. I want my own YouTube channel. And I kept saying to them, no, not at all, ever.
Right.
And of course, I was the mean mommy, right? And what I find and of course, it's a learning process, right? So they don't know why you're saying it, right? And I think this goes back to the conversation about why you have to be a certain age to kind of start experiencing this. Because I see them now looking at videos that they would make pretending that they had a YouTube channel, right? And what they would talk about. And they cringe and they're like, oh, don't even show it to me. It's terrible. I can't stand it. I'm like, well, can you imagine what it would be like had that hit social media?
Yeah. I know. That's why we're always right as the parents.
Yes, this is exactly right. Why don't they listen to me?
Do you ever watch Bluey?
No.
Have you watched? Okay. It's a children's show, but very acceptable to watch as an adult woman alone. It is such valuable lessons. So cute, so well done. And we just started watching it. My son's 8. And I mean, he could have been watching this as a 3-year-old. And I had multiple friends say, I will watch Bluey alone. I love it so much. And so I'm so thrilled that he's watching it now. But there was one, they're just these short little bite-sized, it's a cartoon, they're dogs. But they're so well done. And there was this one episode that we were watching yesterday because we're binging it with my son homesick. And that was the point of the episode, was like that the parents, they were like, because I said so. And then finally the kids, they cultivated this giant imaginary friend that was bigger than the parents. And they, in the show, they like give the actual imaginary friend has the power over the parents. And so, but the kids are like, because I said so, because my imaginary friend can do whatever, we can do whatever we want because I said so, because she's bigger than you. And so there's the lesson in there that they don't brush their teeth, they don't do this, and like, but all these weird things start to happen, and like the imaginary friend's teeth start falling out because it doesn't want to brush its teeth, and all these things are happening. So that was like the lesson of the parents are like, we don't just tell you these things so you don't have fun. There's actually a reason behind it. But it was just the cutest, the way that they did the lesson was like exactly what we're talking about, but they did it in just such like this adorable, playful way of like, this is why. And if you were allowed to do whatever you want, that's probably what you would do. And it would be chaos and nothing would go great in the end. But that's what I want to leave your listeners with, is to watch Bluey in your free time. It's a real value add.
That's what we're actually saying in this whole episode.
I mean, it's going to change your life, and it's going to bring a lot of joy if you do nothing else.
And after you finish watching Bluey, watch Kung Fu Panda 1 and 2. My favorite movies in the whole world.
Oh, couldn't agree more.
Oh my gosh, there's so much great wisdom.
We always skadoosh. Yeah.
Skadoosh, exactly.
So good. So much wisdom. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooglay's my favorite.
You don't need to listen to us. Just go watch cartoons.
There you go. See?
All the lessons, everything you need to know, you learned on Bluey.
It's very true.
That's what we're going to call this episode. Everything you need to know.
It's not from Melissa Bauknight. It's from
no. Of course it is.
From my 1 week, you wouldn't know about it if it weren't for you, Melissa.
From my 1 week at home with my son with strep throat.
Poor dude. I'm so hope he's coming out of it.
He is.
But what would you say as we're winding down this conversation? What would be that major thing that you tell people 30 something and up that are saying, okay, where I'm at right now isn't exactly where I'm supposed to be, or I'm feeling stuck, or I don't know what's next for me? What piece of advice would you give them?
I would say to stop trying to do it alone and go get supported. And that can look a lot of different ways. But my answer to most things is community. I am very annoying about that, and I will die on that hill. Is that the saying? I'm not going to die on this hill. Okay, great. I love when I use things properly. I will die on that hill. That it is the answer, because we will drive ourselves nuts trying to figure it out on our own. We will repeat the same patterns. A lot of times what we think is not actually true. I mean, it feels true for us. It gets way bigger and more dramatic in our own brains than it is in reality. So I would get support, whether that's phoning a friend, but I would really, to be the most specific, I would go get in a community with expanders. I would go get in community with people who live life with possibility, who are doing growth-oriented work, who who are not trying to pretend that everything is fine, but are not living in a fixed mindset, that are really here to challenge the status quo and to reflect back to you your unique genius and your brilliance, and to remind you of who you are when you forget. That's what I would do. I would go find those people. They're in the Nova. They're in women's circles. They exist with coaches. We're actually everywhere. The Fireflies are everywhere. You just have to decide.
that you're done, that a lot of times you just have to get kind of sick of your own shit and decide to do something different usually. And hopefully, to revert back to a question you had earlier, hopefully you do it before your whole life blows up, because a lot of times people wait what I would call too long, or you wait till things just get so bad before you decide to turn the ship around. But you can get real curious before things get really bad about like, well, what could be better and where could I go for that? And so that would be my best recommendation besides watching Bluey.
One other thing that I would add, because I will die on the hill of community as well. Just so we're clear. I think that's a really important one, because one of the other things that community does is it allows us to hear other people's experiences and see it from their perspective, not just our own. Especially when there's rules around sharing, right? When you can't offer feedback and you can't dismiss somebody, because our experiences are all valid. Right? They shape who we are. And when we can see the world through the experiences that others have had, it raises our own compassion, not just for ourselves, but for other. And I think that that's what community can be so powerful, is not just to find, it can not only help us find those people who can lift us up and support us and provide us with, growth opportunities. It can also allow us to share the common human experience.
Yes.
And find compassion where we thought there might not be any.
Well, and I might add that that's potentially the most important part right now, because it's we all think, well, I shouldn't make that sweeping statement, but it appears, especially in our country, that everybody is so divided, and that there's an A and a B, and that, we forget that we are human on the inside. And when you can come to the table with curiosity, and you can come in community in the way that you're describing, and you find that we are in fact not so different after all. And I think that is one of the most powerful ways forward for us, especially when we're like, well, this group is this way, and this group is this way, and this group of people is this way, and this group of people is like, oh my gosh, it's so exhausting. And when you sit in circle and you are in vulnerable spaces, and then you find out, like, you're like, oh, I know this person's soul. And then you're like, oh, wow, you have that different belief than me. I didn't even know that. But I already have love for you. And let me get curious about that. And where does that come from? It's such a different experience. And it levels, I don't even know what to, levels the playing field, or just like you're saying, it just like makes us human versus left versus right, or this versus this. And it's so healing. And you also realize you're never alone in any experience that you have ever. Which is also pretty powerful.
I love this so much.
I agree.
I love this work you're doing. It's so important.
Yeah, you too. Got to keep doing it.
Yes. It's so worth it. It's so worth it. And Sandra and I actually know each other through a networking group. And then we run a local women's entrepreneurship chapter of a networking group. So I believe that who you surround yourself with is the key to success, breaking through, probably breaking down your own BS too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because somebody gets to see you, and it's like this third party observation that's totally outside of yourself. And it's often very freeing to get that feedback from somebody else. And then doing stuff with others is fun too.
Yeah, it really is.
Definitely.
And it's nice to get called out on your shit too, when you have people with this discernment around who gets to do that. But
yeah,
I love when I have those people in my life. I'm like, you're right. Thanks for that. Like tail between your legs, but you're like, okay, thank you.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So how can other people get a hold of you? What's the best way to reach you?
So the community, I am Melissa Bauknight, so you can find me on the internet as that. But our community is the Nova Global. And so that is our website is thenovaglobal.com. The on Instagram and LinkedIn, that's what we are. And we have chapters in Denver, Boulder, Greater New York City, North Boston, Phoenix, Portland, East Bay, California, and what am I forgetting?
Soon to be Cleveland, Ohio.
No, but I was born in Toledo. I lived there for 18 years. So,
Oh my gosh, we are Northeast Ohioans.
yeah. Oh no, DC. So DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia. But how it's been happening, honestly, is people are just hearing about what we're doing, or somebody's referring to. It's been completely organic. We have like Asheville, Nashville, Tampa, Logan, Utah, like all these other cities, but just because of women reaching out or people who have existing communities that want to plug into an ecosystem, because they're like, we want to just be a part of this at a broader scale. And so it's been totally organic, which is just a testament to the fact of how much people are craving these kinds of spaces. So if you're not in that list and you want to be in that list, let's chat, because I'm totally open to it. Because we just want to bring this, whether it's under the Nova umbrella or just a partner. Like I also don't believe that everyone needs to be like, you must come under the Nova. I'm like, cool, you're doing this. Like, how could we support one another? Like I'm just here to collaborate with other communities too, because we're all doing the same kind of good work in the world. And so how can we like lift each other up? How do we collaborate? How do we promote each other's work? Because at the end of the day, it's all going towards the same benefit for women and non-binary people. So, I would love to talk about Cleveland and what you're doing, and if there's anything we can do to support you, because it's amazing. It's important what we're all doing.
That's amazing. It's a done deal. We will make it happen.
Great. In real life.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Melissa. And it's such an honor to hear about the work that you're doing. Thanks for sharing it with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really love this conversation. And it's a break from my real life. Taking care of a sick kid. I could have these conversations this is what fills my heart. This is like, I could literally talk to you all day. It is just so much fun to get to be in community with people like you. So I'm grateful to get to know you, and thank you for taking the time to have me on. It's truly my honor too.
Our pleasure. Thank you. That's a wrap on this episode of Exposing the Hidden Reality. If something hit home or made you snort laugh, tell us.
Seriously, we love hearing from you. Message us, tag us, or send us coffee. We love coffee.
And hey, leave a review. It helps more women find us and boosts our egos.
Which are like fragile, like suspiciously fragile.
True. All right, until next time, keep questioning, keep growing, and if all else fails,
blame the dog.
See you next time. Wait, did we stop recording?
No, we're still here. You have to push the red button.
Red button. Cool. Just eternal podcasting.
Bye.
Bye.